Future educators of America, welcome to Teach Your Language with Mr. K. Today, we're going to use Paula Denton's book, The Power of Our Words, to help us improve our communication with students. We'll review some general guidelines of teacher language and how to engage in active listening. We'll also get some how-tos and how-not-tos from my two assistants. But first, we need to ask ourselves, what does language do? And why is teacher language so important? Language is more than just the words that we say. In a sense, language is the very essence of who we are. Our character is largely defined by our interactions, particularly those we have as young children. These interactions occur through language. Children who encounter praise and support will have different outcomes than children who are met with negativity and anger. Language also helps us to describe the world that we live in. Being clear and concise in language is the best way to help others improve or to give meaningful praise. Language and the words we choose also define our relationships with others. We can build trust between others and with ourselves using proper language. Displays of true care and support can only occur through language and communication. Clearly, language matters in our lives. But teacher language, the language of the classroom, plays a uniquely important role. Let's explore that. Teacher language is the use of words, phrases, tone, and pace to enable students to engage in active learning and contribute positively to the classroom. But what does that mean? Teacher language has a few simple goals. The first is to help students gain academic skills and knowledge. Our role as teachers includes, but is not limited to, the teaching of information. We also teach students strategies and lifelong skills to help acquire more information independently. It does a student more good to understand how to take effective notes in history than to learn dates such as when the First Continental Congress convened. As teachers, we both teach and help students learn how to learn independently. Additionally, we teach students to learn from each other. Modeling techniques of discussion turns the classroom into a collaborative effort to increase total knowledge. We also help students independently use language skillfully. Mastery of language unlocks so much academic potential. There are elements of teacher language that move beyond academics, particularly impacting social-emotional learning, or SEL. Language helps students develop self-control. Using warm, positive, and simple language can help students acquire self-control and self-regulation. Meeting effort with effective praise and consistently warmly demanding higher expectations helps students learn how to improve and to grow. Equally important is establishing a sense of community. Creating an environment where students feel comfortable and work together is a necessity for an effective teaching environment. By using language to place value on respect, cooperation, and sharing, we emphasize that these values are important and encourage them in our classroom. Let's talk specifics. What exactly can you do as a teacher to communicate effectively? I'm going to be assisted by my two friends, William Wrongway and Brian Best Practice. I'm going to give you a quick guideline and some explanation. Then, William Wrongway, in the pink shirt, will show you what not to do. Then, Brian Best Practice, in the sweater, will show you what to do. We'll discuss a little bit, talk about the differences, and move on. Ready? Let's go! Be clear and direct when communicating with students. Make statements instead of asking questions. Don't repeat yourself. Make sure your instructions are easy to follow. Guys, do you think you can go over there and open up the book to the chat? Open it up. Start reading about the American Revolution. Open the American Revolution chapter. Could you do that for me? Alright, open your textbooks to page 34. We're going to work in some choral reading, so I'm going to read first and then you guys are going to repeat after me. See? Brian made clear what his expectations were for students and warmly demanded them to follow. William was unclear and confused students by asking questions rather than making statements. If they knew all the answers, you wouldn't have to. Genuine speech is also key when interacting with students. No one likes a faker. Say what you mean and mean what you say. Avoid sarcasm, which confuses and hurts children. Don't overgeneralize your speech and render it meaningless. And guarantee that your body language reinforces your communication. It's time for the most exciting lesson of the most exciting class of the most exciting year of school, isn't it, guys? I know you guys love this class. I know it's your absolute favorite, and I just love hanging out with you guys. It's really a great class, I think. Alright guys, I got a lesson for you today I think you're going to find really interesting. We're going to be learning about cell mitosis. Does anyone have an idea about what could be involved in the process of cell mitosis? William was all over the place on this one. His attempts at jokes confused students, and calling everything the most exciting rendered everything unexciting. And his slouch showed that he didn't care much at all about the lesson. Meanwhile, Brian showed exactly what he meant, didn't hyperbolize, and displayed his interest in student learning. Genuine speech displays your genuine interest in your students in your classroom. An emphasis of teacher language is showing faith in student abilities. Notice the positive aspects of their work. Emphasizing success makes students focus on success. Avoid baby talk. Students want to be treated as adults, and treating them as adults encourages independence. Billy, I know I want you to do well in this class, but if you keep not turning in assignments, it's going to be a real issue on your grade. And Sarah, how many times do I have to tell you about proper paragraph indentation? If you do this again on your test, it's an automatic F. I don't care. Claire, you're making great improvements into your voice and thought in your writing. And Rebecca, I love the way you're using compound sentences to chain ideas together. Jimmy, your attention to using figurative language is so much improved from the beginning of the year. I love it. Brian found something positive for every student to be proud of in their own work in his classroom. Each of these students will leave his room with a smile at their own accomplishments and feel as if they are taken seriously in the classroom. William's students might feel patronized and negative about the quality of their own work without thinking about how they could possibly improve. Equality in the classroom is also a necessity. Boys and girls must be held to the same standard. Give students the same type of feedback. Try to interact with students of both genders equally. Charles, I love the way you constructed your thought process to build to an argument. And Catherine, your handwriting looks amazing today. You're going to be a great writer. Katie, I love the way your voice as a writer comes through in this piece. Chuck, I love the way that you are constructing ideas using mentor texts. William clearly emphasizes thought processes more with boys, while focusing on handwriting and superficial details more with girls, upholding problematic double standards. Brian gives constructive and useful feedback to children of both genders and calls on them both equally. In the classroom, focus on actions. What can students do? Students will have an easier time following a concrete instruction as opposed to an abstract request. Timothy, how many times do I have to tell you to be respectful? What do you mean you don't understand what being respectful is? Being respectful is not hard, it's pretty clear. Christopher, you should not be talking while I'm talking. If you have a comment, you need to raise your hand, but right now, I need your eyes up front. William was very unclear in his directions. What does being respectful mean in this context? A student might not immediately know. Meanwhile, Brian directly stated what the exact behavior he expected out of students was, and which got a much clearer and quicker response. When correcting student behavior, focus on the behavior, not the student. Rather than turning correction into an attack on a particular student, emphasize that the behavior is problematic. Explain why you need the behavior to stop. Do not use one misbehavior as a chance to bring up other issues with a particular student. Gabriel, is that another note I see? So help me God, you are the most annoying student in this class. I can't deal with you. You are just a problem child who is trying to distract from all our lessons. Give me that note. Natalie, when you pass notes in my class, it not only distracts you from learning, but it also stops others from being able to pay attention. I need you to stop. Please hand me that note. Brian wanted his student to stop passing notes, so he stated that directly. He emphasized why it was an issue and made a firm but reasonable demand. William attacked the student's character, which would cause them to assume a defensive position, further inciting issues in the classroom. Keep it brief. Don't spend 10 words when 5 will do. Don't give warnings. Expect changes in behavior. Clear, concise language will get you the results you want in the classroom. Alright class, next time I have to talk to you, it's going to be recess. Guys, I can still hear the noise. We're about to lose our recess. If I have to talk to you one more time again, there's no recess for this class. I can still hear you. We're about to lose recess. Jonathan, what are the rules with messing with other people's stuff? That's right, we keep our hands in our own area. Please do that. William gave multiple warnings for the same behavior. These warnings put all of the emphasis on your power over students and make them think of making necessary behavioral changes as punishments. Brian's method of making your expectations clear to students immediately helps them set high expectations and focuses on their self-regulation. Sometimes silence truly is golden. You don't need to be talking all the time. Provide wait time to students when necessary and model pausing before immediately answering. Resist repeating student answers. Remember, less teacher talk provides more opportunity for student input and growth. So tell me class, why is George Washington important in American history? Over here.
Because he...
Yeah, that's right, exactly.
President.
Yeah, he was the first president, and so that's significant because, class, I'm going to ask a question, and I want you guys to wait and give a thumbs up before you raise your hand, so I can wait for the whole class to have an answer. So the question is, why did the United States join World War II? Yep, over here.
Because of Pearl Harbor.
Could you expand on that a little bit?
Yeah, Japan dropped bombs on Pearl Harbor and Hawaii, and we didn't like it.
William just kept on talking. He cut off students and gave them no time to answer his questions. He repeated students' answers, showing that student thinking is only important when the teacher acknowledges it. Brian put the focus on the student. He was clear and concise, and made learning collaborative rather than lecture-based. We've talked a lot about how teachers talk, but what about how teachers listen? Active listening is more than just hearing. It involves searching for meaning in a student's words. Well, active listening helps us to get to know our students. The more we understand students through this attentive listening, the more we can tailor lessons, discussions, and activities to their interests and needs. Active listening also helps us teach students about themselves. When we understand their words on a deeper level, we can restate and clarify their thinking, helping them achieve deeper self-awareness. Listening deeply helps us in our questioning of students. We can learn what questions will elicit deeper thought on what they are currently struggling with. Improved active listening and questioning from the teacher also helps students improve. Students take their learning more seriously when they know that teachers are invested in their ideas. They can't find easy excuses because the teacher always probes deeper. Better listening from the teacher also helps students in communicating their own ideas. It's more engaging to perform from an attentive audience. In addition, teachers paraphrasing helps students clarify their own ideas to express them to others. Eventually, this process becomes automatic. When teachers model active listening, it also improves the classroom community. Students learn interpersonal skills and engage each other more deeply. A teacher's active listening skills improve the entire classroom. Pausing is the first technical strategy for active listening. Pausing involves taking a break before replying to gather your thoughts. This strategy helps avoid being inattentive during the student's speech due to focusing on your own reply. It also helps ensure that your reply is meaningful and expresses your thoughts. Pausing has 2 steps. First, take a 3 to 5 second pause after the student talks. Use this time to think deeply on what the student meant and to make your reply meaningful. Second, give acknowledgement. Show that you are paying attention and interested. Huh and yeah will not do it. If you need time to think, express that by saying something like, give me a second to think about that. Make sure that when you say these kind of things, you mean them. You should always actually follow up with that student and make sure they know that you were interested in their speech and just needed time to think. Let's look at some successful and unsuccessful examples of active listening using the pausing strategy.
Elizabeth started pulling on my shirt, and she stood on my personal space, and she kept on touching me, and then she started laughing at me. I don't like when people laugh at me. It's not fair. It's not fun. I don't like. It's not funny.
Yeah, that sounds really rough. Yeah, sorry. I mean, yeah.
Elizabeth, she was touching me, and then I said, "Don't touch me," and then she was touching me more, and then everyone started laughing, and I don't want them to laugh at me. I don't like it when people. I don't want them to laugh at me. It makes me sad, and I just was doing. It's not funny. It's no, it's not that funny.
It sounds like you've got a lot going on there. Give me a second to process all of it, and then let me get back to you, okay? Paraphrasing, the other major active listening technique, involves retelling a student's thoughts in your own words. It is mainly useful for problem solving, as it allows students to assess their own thoughts, allows teachers to clarify their understanding of students, and allows teachers and students to work collaboratively for a solution. To paraphrase, first, use your own words. Restate the student's main idea in your own words. Name hidden thoughts and feelings that they may not have directly expressed, but were evident in their telling. And organize and name their thoughts and ideas so that they can be more easily expressed and discussed. Second, keep it about the student. Avoid I statements. It's not about how you feel, it's about understanding the student's thinking. Don't talk too long. Keep it about the student. Give your thoughts, but allow the students to express their feelings. Be approachable. The student wants to have this discussion with you. Be a good conversational partner. And allow clarification and continuation of their ideas by asking an open-ended question after your restatement. This tactic allows students to continue talking and clarify any misconceptions you may have had and extend on their own thinking. Let's watch some more failed and successful attempts at active listening. This time focused on paraphrasing.
Elizabeth started touching me, and then started touching my shirt. I don't like when people pull on my shirt, and then I started crying, and she started laughing at me, and it's not funny. I don't like when people laugh at me.
So really, it seems to me like I think that you started this whole thing. So what did you do? Why would you do that? Why would you start?
And she started touching me, and she pulled on my shirt. I don't like when people touch my shirt because I don't want them to touch. And I don't like when people get close to me. And then they started laughing at me because then I started crying. I don't like when people laugh at me. I don't want anyone to laugh at me because it's not funny. I just don't. I don't know. I don't want her to touch me.
It sounds to me like you're frustrated because your personal space got violated, and you know that that's something that is very important to you. What do you think your next step should be in interacting with her? Active listening builds trust. When students know their concerns are not just heard, but comprehended, they are more invested in the classroom. Remember, both pausing and paraphrasing demand intentionality. Using these strategies is pointless if you don't actually care about what students have to think. Thanks for listening to part 1 of Teacher Language with Mr. K. Today we use chapters 1 and 4 of Power of Our Words to get some tips on teacher language and active listening. Carry these lessons with you into the classroom and watch your classroom community blossom. Congratulations on completion! Hooray!